Hello everybody, I am Leo Dufeu. I'm an artist who lives in Burnt Island in Fife in Scotland, United Kingdom, the world, and I am going to today give you a tour around my studio. This is my studio with a lovely north-facing light, two north-facing windows, birds batter on one. And the hill you can see out of my window, this is the Bin, B-I-N-N, and it's the hill which overlooks Burnt Island, and it's a brilliant walk up there. You get amazing views all the way across the Firth of Forth, all the way across to Edinburgh. So, my studio. It's quite a small space, it's just the second bedroom of our house, and it's a full space, and a lot of what is in it is not my art stuff, but is stuff like this. A bag of rugs waiting to go out into the wash house. A box of all the toys that my son plays with when he's in here, when I'm sort of trying to work. A bag of his clothes which no longer fit waiting to go up into the attic. My rucksack. Bag waiting to go to landfill. Bags waiting to go to paper and plastic recycling. Sketchbooks, lots and lots and lots of sketchbooks, including these ones which I've laid out to talk to you about shortly. My brushes and paints. Now this tall table here, I am quite tall, 6 foot, and this is a brilliant architect's drawing table. You can see that every space is full. This is a brilliant architect's drawing table which allows me to sketch and paint standing up. This is my plans chest, which came from an architect's office. Plans chests are brilliant for artists. They are such good places to store your materials and all your unsold paintings. So if anybody's after any paintings of Roslin Chapel, the Isle of May, very heavy drawers, the hills above Gairloch Head, Ruthven Barracks, Isla, the Isle of May, Benahee. Just let me know, I've got them. This drawer here, I think, yeah, this is mostly unused materials, mostly. But what we have here is a wood engraving. I must admit that when lockdown came along, since lockdown has come along, I've done almost no art, I've done no painting, and I'm trying not to feel guilty about it. I have had an awful lot of garden time, which has been great. But anyway, I received a Creative Scotland VACMA award to get into printmaking, which is something I've been wanting to do ever since I left art college 15 years ago. And I got my award just shortly before lockdown happened, and I ordered some wood engraving tools, and this is my first ever wood engraving. It's 3 by 6 centimeters. Wood engraving is all about small, fine detail, and that's something that I really love. I love detailed things, miniature things. So this is the engraving, this is the print from the engraving, and this is the block of wood which I have cut into using these really fine, really sharp tools. So I have done some art, but not nearly as much as I would have thought I would get done in 7 weeks at home. This is the next block. Wood engraving is done on really, really hard wood, which has been very finely polished, and it's done on the end grain. Here's an uncut piece, the end grain, so you can see the rings of the tree. So all these sketchbooks, I try to take a sketchbook with me wherever I go. My sketchbooks are sort of diaries, but more than diaries. They're not just written. In fact, they're mostly not written, but there is quite a lot of writing within them. Sketches mostly, but lots of notes. This one here, all of this is from a trip to Orkney that I made with Jennifer years ago now, and it's quite nice to see that I've got lots of writing, little glimpses of things. This is the train journey up, and stopped for a minute. Our train stopped for a minute beside the Royal Scotsman, and I did this quick biro sketch of the very fancy dining car on the Royal Scotsman. A little biro sketch near Invergordon, metal warehouses, so industrial on a concrete promontory, contrasting against the natural headlands behind, bright, sunlit on metal. Down here, there in the grassy dunes past Brora. Still don't know what this structure was, but it's a little hut or shelter, something like that, hiding among the grassy dunes. So I love to capture small happenings, small things that I've seen, something that an animal is doing, a particular building which I think I'd love to add into a painting one day, or a particular whole scene which I think that would make a brilliant finished painting one day. And I fill my sketchbooks with these things. You can see that on this Orkney trip it was pencil I was using, biro I was using, as I've already showed you. More biro here. And also drawing pen. Just an artist's drawing pen. And there is a different quality of finish to biro drawings on the left and artist pen on the right. This is St Magnus Cathedral. Orkney is a wonderful place, and I'm hopefully going to be going back there in September next year. I'm going to be running a painting holiday, as long as we're allowed to do such things then. Here's my little curlew, half a curlew. The curlew, it flew as I started to sketch. Sometimes a drawing or a painting without much detail in it turns out much better than one which you've worked away at and worked away at and worked away at. Here's Jennifer reading. Brodgar stone circle in the background. The ring of Brodgar. Now this place is completely amazing. This is the Dwarfy stone, or the Dwarfy stain, and it is, as my notes say, it's got a cell carved into it, a chamber carved into it, and it's thought, according to my sketchbook, which was written 10 or more years ago, it's thought that it was carved 4,500 to 5,500 years ago, and it would have been carved only using things like stone and antler and bone. It's a pretty big chamber inside that huge boulder. The boulder sits on its own in the middle of a big U-shaped valley, and you're able to go right into the chamber. You can't stand up in it, but you can crouch, as far as I remember. So I did some sketching here. It's worth having a look at this. In either at the end of this video or in a following video, I'm going to do some window sketching and talk you through that. So I'll talk about this more then. But have a look here at these really broad marks. This is pencil. These really fine marks, these are pencil as well. So you can hold your pencil on its side and get really lovely broad marks. The softer your pencil is, like a 2B, a 4B, a 6B, you can get really nice dark broad marks like I've got here. And it's just really nice to combine both detailed lines and dark broad lines together in a sketch. Dwarfy stain again, you can see that I really liked it. Now this is the Old Man of Hoy. If I'm talking about Orkney, I'll just go on about every single place being amazing. These are fulmars which were circling past us, checking us out. Jennifer sitting reading, Old Man of Hoy. And some sketches are really pretty quick scribbly things. This one's very quick. This will just be, I don't know, 2 minutes, something like that. Some sketches are far more detailed. This is an interesting thing to see because I was very much thinking that I wanted to one day make a painting of this lovely old house. And here I've drawn in this extra end of the building because once I'd drawn this I thought, nice drawing, except I realised that the building was only about half the length that it was meant to be. So I've put this to remind myself that if I ever paint it, which I have, I should extend that building. Some pages are just entirely notes. This one is a biro drawing and I'm zooming right in on it to try to let you see. Biro can get you a lovely, scratchy, textured quality of line. The biro indents the paper a little bit and you also get the sheen of the biro. Really nice way to draw. Now further on in this sketchbook are some from Holy Isle, a little island on Arran, a little island beside Arran, and in this I've done more painterly things. This is my mum, who's also an artist, and here she is painting. There's her hat, paintbrush, sketchbook. But looking closely, you can see scribbly pencil drawing. Often what I'll do is I'll do my scribbly pencil sketches or pen sketches, and then either at the time or later on I will add paint onto those sketches. Same with this one, the lighthouse. You see the pencil drawing and even pencil writing. This pencil writing reminds me, this pencil sketch, I did it and I knew that I wasn't going to have time there and then to add the paint on. So what I've written is mostly about the colours I was seeing. Down here, dark black seaweed band on rocky shore, white flecked grey rocks above. Here, calm sea ripples, light silvers and blues, bright whites, yellow tints, grey blues, and a bit more detail up here. Cliffs, grey, green, brown, all the colours of below except with no warm brown of dried bracken. So these colour notes are to remind me when one day I turn this into a more detailed, more finished painting, or when I add paint onto this very sketch, which I now have done, to remind me what the colours were. Same sort of thing. And then a pencil sketch which I decided, no, I really like that. That was just a 5-minute sketch. I really like that and I don't need to add any paint onto it at all. And sketching the birds. These are shags on Holy Isle. They are really characterful birds to watch. They make all sorts of interesting poses standing on rocks. And in the breeding season they've got these lovely crests which on the males in breeding season can be really, really tall. So, I think that I also wanted to show you this. This is using black drawing ink, which has been put into a brush-nibbed pen. It's one of my favourite drawing tools now because it allows me to use the black drawing ink of the sort that people used to dip their nib pens into to write with. It allows me to use that black ink to create drawings, but without the mess, without the risk of spilling that you get when you're actually dipping a nib pen or dipping a paintbrush. So it's a reusable chamber which you unscrew from the end of the pen, pour in your ink, and then it comes out through the brush tip, the brush nib. I'll just let you see a bit closer. So there are some dark detailed lines. Perhaps one day I could do a demonstration of this. Dark detailed lines and a sort of softer grey. That's all using the same ink and the same brush, but I've probably let that dark line dry, which just would take a few seconds, and then more lightly I've held the edge of the brush and brushed it over to get the lighter tones. Down here you can see this is Heriot Watt Chamber Choir singing in Roslin Chapel, and my wife Jennifer is a singer, musician and a dancer, and she is in this chamber choir, and I think this might be her here, or maybe that's her, and conductor Steve. If you are starting to do what I'm suggesting and take a sketchbook out and about with you, it's a good idea to have just something very small. This sketchbook you can see smaller than my hand, and here are some quick pen sketches done on a trip to South Uist. I love to look through this one. South Uist, the Scottish Islands just excite me so much, and South Uist, its bird life and its wildlife was absolutely amazing. So I got all that done on the island, and it just takes me right back there. And that is why I would really recommend people do start sketching, because it's such a great way to remind you of all the things you've done, the places you've been. And at the moment it's such a great way to remind you of all the interesting things a lot of us can see from our windows. You don't have to sketch views which you're seeing. You can sketch from other people's artworks, or you can sketch from photographs. So these are quickish sketches done of paintings by Eric Ravilius. When I saw these down in Dulwich Picture Gallery in London, 19th of April 2015, having coffee with Jennifer after being in Ravilius. And to do a sketch of another artist's work is a great way. I'm just trying to show you another one. Where is it? Here. It's just a great way to remind you of an artwork which you've really liked, which you might one day want to in some way use in one of your own artworks. You might really love that composition of that road leading away, so you might go out and find a similar scene in your area. These sketches are done using artists' drawing pens, and they've got felt tip nibs. They're lovely to draw with, and also some of them are more detailed fine line pens, and I love to combine the detailed line with the brush nibs. Very quick one. But even just seeing this reminds me of this painting of Eric Ravilius's, with this ship leaving Scapa Flow around about 1940, and the big island hills behind. So this is one of my smallest sketchbooks. Here's a bird list. Now this is to show you that I am not a people artist, and this is my wife Jennifer, so I really hope she's not going to watch this video. So also I should show you this, my very smallest sketchbook, and this one, look here, I was using those artist drawing pens again, and it started raining. You'll see this in quite a lot of my sketches. It's started raining, so the pen or the watercolour has run. But I love seeing that because it reminds me that I was out there, out in the real landscape. A sketch from a recent New Year trip. It's quite nice to do something like this where you just use a black or a brown pen or a pencil to do a line drawing, and then just add one colour, a colour of your choice, to maybe be the shadows or the highlights where the sun is hitting everything in the scene. And this one's using that nice black drawing pen I was talking about again, a reservoir. Moving on to a much larger sketchbook. Here is a really nice A4 sketchbook, and of course you can work over a double page. This one is using colouring pencils. Caran d'Ache are the brand that I really like, but any sort of colouring pencil, and these are water soluble colouring pencils drawn over the double page spread so that I get a really nice large artwork. Some notes written on it again. This is the excuse me. This is the Isle of May, where I go for a week or two, Puffin and Kittiwake, for a week or two every year, except not during lockdown year, unfortunately. Razorbills, some of my absolute favourite birds. Now let me show you this one much further on. This is the bass rock, done when I was down in North Berwick on a day running a workshop for the Children's Wildlife Clubs at the Scottish Seabird Centre. And here's the bass rock using a charcoal pencil, which is a really hard charcoal within a wooden pencil, and you can get really nice dark bold drawings. Another one of the same scene drawn when I was there a week later to do an art session with the other group, and this one was using ink, as I've talked about quite a few times, and you can see it started raining. And sometimes that happens and I'm quite frustrated because it obscures all the detail that I'd worked on, but sometimes it happens and I think, oh wow, I love it. And that's what happened with this one. I was delighted that the rain came, because it just looks like a rainy day, which is what it was, and I would not have been able to achieve that effect if I had been trying to achieve that effect. It just, nature did it for me.